refer to the whole space as mixed reality. We kind of, at first, we're super hardcore about sticking to that nomenclature. And the reason is that we don't really make a distinction between augmented reality and the more immersive virtual reality. To us, anytime you bring in the digital world and the real world together in a meaningful way, interacting with them in 3 dimensions, you're mixing realities. And it's actually important for us because we treat that whole continuum as one thing. So whether you're in an immersive headset in a VR experience, or you're doing augmented reality with something like HoloLens where you actually see your surroundings, you're using the same underlying platform and software and tools. So we think about that space holistically, which is an important consideration. And we call this instinctual because you don't have to be taught how to do it. And so it's a result really of several technical advances, both in the hardware from our industry-leading depth sensor. This is basically Microsoft Kinect. If you remember the original Kinect, the game controller, and then we had Kinect for Windows. The third generation of Kinect was actually in the original HoloLens, and so this is effectively the 4th generation of that time-of-flight depth sensing camera that really gives us the environmental understanding we need to place holograms in our world and interact with them. And then, of course, there had to be a bunch of software that went along with that. But I can talk about it all I want, but there's really only one way to fully get it, and that is to try it out yourself. Now, go ahead and hold your hands up in front of your face and wiggle your fingers a little bit. Okay. I think I know what you just saw, the little mesh covering all of your hands. Now, what the system is doing is it recognizes that there's a difference between your anatomy, your fingers, and mine. And in order to enable you to reach out and touch holograms, the system has to know those differences. And so it tracks 25 points of articulation on each hand to learn your hands and that they're different from mine.
That's cool.
Now, one of the other things that may happen is, did you get a dialog box?
I did.
Okay, and it says adjust or cancel. So it's going to, another difference that the system will take into account is the physical difference in our eyes. Everyone has their own unique interpupillary distance, and even it measures, vertically. The system will measure your eyes so that it can place holograms in the world in a way that's perfect for you. And I think you just hit done, and so you're done. Now, if you go ahead and stand up. HoloLens is designed to be a hands-free, heads-up, wearable computer. So you'll notice I have some holograms placed around the room.
Yeah, you're on one.
Josh is standing right in the middle of a wind farm. You didn't realize that. I have a hologram of a wind farm. It's a 3D model of a proposed wind farm to be built on the coast. And you can see that as you walk right up to it, you can kind of reach out and touch it. And as you do, a white bounding box appears around the hologram.
Yeah.
So when you see that on the corner, you'll see a little affordance that you can grab. Go ahead and grab the corner of the hologram, and then you can make it bigger and smaller.
That is neat.
Isn't that neat? Right here, and you could learn about the operation of each individual windmill and share that information. Or you could walk over, and right here I've got one of the actual turbine models broken out, floating in space holographically in front of you. Now you can just reach right out and grab it. And it wants to see that your hand close. So just grab it and then move it around.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Now you can actually grab it with 2 hands and resize it. Shrink it and grow it.
It's like right by me. So now it's down. Oh, that's so cool.
Right. So what the idea here is that we're projecting 3-dimensional digital objects. We've had 3D computing for decades, but on our flat screens. And as humans, we get familiar with the shortcuts that we take to try to represent 3-dimensional objects on a 2D plane. But they're really just tricks to make you sense depth and 3-dimensionality. Now, with HoloLens, we can project these 3-dimensional digital objects into our world and interact with them as if they were real and had depth and volume. And there's a bunch of neuroscience that proves out that if you are human and you interact with something in 3D, you understand it better than if you just see a picture, a 2-dimensional picture of it. Your brain literally wires itself differently if you've interacted with a 3D version of something as opposed to just looking at a picture of it. And that's the fundamental idea. Now you can go ahead and bring up the start menu again, and then hit that home button. Oh, he was just going to tell you about all the demos you saw. And that's the demo.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. You can see how if you imagine, like, you had no idea how to fix that electrical box, having somebody see what you're seeing and draw in your field of view and have you pull the exact part, it's almost impossible to make a mistake in a situation like that. And that's one of the key scenarios that we're seeing companies use HoloLens for.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
That would have been something you would have liked to see.
Well, one day maybe we'll have to buy one.
Yeah. Well, he has a software company that does helps with fire safety inspection.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay.
that's kind of what that reminded me of.
Oh,
Not like
yeah.
the stuff that they probably look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool.
Very
Great.
cool.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for coming by.